Good day. Yes. So I'm going to be teaching you differentiation in this class. Yes, it's a very important mathematical concept, especially for first year students in Nigeria University. So thank you. So differentiation has principle. So depending on the question, that is when you know the correct principle to apply. Although, if you watch my first lecture, I said when we are talking about calculus, we need to learn three things, which is the LDI. You know, L, which means limit, the D, which means differentiation, and the I, which means integration. All right. But it is usually limit first before differentiation. But when I'm taking my class, I used to take differentiation before limit, because in limit, there are some knowledge of differentiation that you supposed to know. Without you being good in differentiation, you might get go slow when solving limit. That is why I'm going to be changing it. So now this could be proceeding in this format. It's going to be differentiation, limit, and integration. So when we actually exploit differentiation, so we are going to use the concept to solve limit. Right? Now, when I said differentiation has principle, there are a lot of principle in solving differentiation that is fitable for a typical question. So each question comes with their own principle. But the first one I'm going to be highlighting in this class is the first principle. That's why I put it on the board. But if you notice, I write some other principle under it, but they are tiny because I'm not going to focus on them in this video. You will see that I have chain rule or function of function. I have product rule, quotient rule, trigonometry, logarithm, inverse, implicit, exponential, and parametric. All right. So these are the other things we are going to explore as we continue in this class. All right. But for today's class, I'm going to be focusing majorly on the first principle of differentiation. Example 1. All right. I'm going to take a question and I'm going to show you the principle. But before that, let me give you the principle. The principle said whenever you have an expression x raised to the power of n, so this is how you are going to solve it using first principle. You are going to bring this power to the coefficient side. You know, this is an index, a power. This place is the coefficient position. So you are going to bring your power to stay at the coefficient position. And then the power will still maintain where it was, but you are going to subtract 1. So for any equation, for any expression, x raised to the power of n, the dy dx, which is the first principle, dy dx, they will ask you that if you are given this expression, find dy dx. Or sometimes they can just write find y prime. They all means differentiate. All right. Please take note of that. So anytime you are given an expression x raised to the power of n, this is the general formula. It's very simple. Just bring the n to the coefficient side, bring it down so that it can be nx. Then make sure you subtract 1 from the power. That is what you need. Now let's make it real. What if you are given something like this? X raised to the power of 2. Let's not go far. Let's just take a simple index. So if you are given s raised to the power of 2, how will you solve that? All right. Following this rule, you know who is the n here? The n here is the 2, because 2 and n are both index. They are both power. So what you're going to do first is to duplicate the 2. You will duplicate the power in 2 places. Then the next thing is for you to bring this power as a coefficient so that it can be 2x squared. But you cannot leave this index the way it is. So to finish up, you have to subtract 1 from the power. That will be 2x. But to do it in a very fast way, you don't need to undergo this long process. Very simple. Just bring down the 2x, and subtract 1 from 2. If you minus 1 from 2, you are going to get 1. And if anything is carrying 1, it's just that thing. So the differentiation of x squared is 2x. So when you are given this expression, it's going to come like they will say if y equals to x squared, then I say find dy dx. So dy dx of x squared will be, you will bring down the power, then you subtract 1 from the power. 2 minus 1 is 1. So the final answer will be what? 2x. That means your dy dx is 2x. All right. Now, you can pause the video and please practice it. Now, let's take another one, another example. Please take note of this general formula. Let me write it somewhere here so that you will not forget. All right. Let me just write it here. General formula, GF, general formula of first principle. That's n. That's whenever you have x raised to the power of n expression, you're going to have nx raised to raised power of n minus 1. Please do well to take note of this. Now let's take another example. Example 2. What if you are given something like this? If y equals to x cube, find dy dx. If y equals to x cube, find dy dx. Dy dx means differentiate it. Now, using the first principle. Now, how do you know that you are going to apply first principle? First principle always work with polynomials. Polynomials. Polynomials are expression of letters and powers. So x is a letter and is carrying a particular power. And you know, unlike quadratic end at power of 2. But polynomial can have any power. So it doesn't have an ending. In fact, x raised power 1 million is still polynomial. So unlike quadratic must end at square, right? So that's polynomials. So polynomials are always being solved by first principle. All right. So now let's solve this. Solution. For you to solve this, if y equals to x cube, find dy dx. So dy dx of x cube is going to be, you are going to bring the cube to the side, then you are going to subtract 1 from the cube. That will now be 3x. You know, if you subtract 1 from 3, you are going to get square. That will be 3x squared. Now, there's something you have to notice when it comes to differentiation. The power will always be decreased. So if you start with a power of 3, definitely you are going to get 2 in your final answer when the power is positive. So y equals to x cube will give you 3x squared. The power will become the coefficient, then you are going to decrease the power by 2. You can pause the video and try to practice it yourself. Now, let's take this. What if you have example 3, if y equals to x raised power of 4, find dy dx. Very, very simple. So for you to solve its solution, so it's going to be dy dx of x raised power of 4. It's going to be, just bring down the 4 to be a coefficient so that it will be 4s. Remember, you have to decrease the 4 by 1. So 4 minus 1 is what? 3. That is your final answer. Very, 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 very simple. The power becomes the coefficient, then you decrease the power by 1. So you will notice that if you have a power of 4, at the end of the day, it will become 3. And a number will come in front of your answer. So that number is as a result of your power. So the power will come down. It's as if you are carrying something, and then you drop it to your side, then you decrease what you carry by 1. So this power will drop 4, and then you will decrease the 4 by 1. That's 3. And that's how you have your answer. You can pause the video and try to practice it yourself. Now, why can't we try this? Let's try this. Yes, what if you have this? If y equals to 7x raised power of 4, find y prime. You know, I told you that whenever you are asked y prime also means differentiate. So it means differentiate. It can be find y dx or find y prime. So they said if y equals to 7x raised power 4, find y prime. So let's solve that. So solution, very, very simple. Now you notice that if you check the other examples, example 1, 2, 3 that we have done, there is no coefficient from the question. Like this 7 is not there. It's just something like this. But now there's a coefficient already coming from the question. Very, very simple. To find dy dx, just separate the coefficient that is coming with the question from the polynomial. This is the polynomial, all right? Let me underline it with a blue marker. So I have marked it with a blue line so that you can see. This is the coefficient from the question. This is the polynomial. Now, just leave the 7 untouched. Like, make sure you don't do anything to the 7. But just deal with this one the way we have been dealing with it. Well, you know, for this polynomial, you have to bring down the 4. So that it will be 4s cubed. Where do we have the cube? You minus 1 from the power. It's very important. Bring down the n and minus 1 from n. So now, this power that you brought down will now multiply your standby coefficient. 7 times 4 will now be what? 28s cubed. And that is your final answer. You see? You can pause the video and try. Yes, to round up this class, yes, this is a summary of all the exercise we practice in this class. All right, the example 1 says, if y equals to x squared, find dy dx or y prime. Very simple. So for you to do it in seconds, you can finish this thing up in seconds. Just bring down the 2 and in your head, don't even write it down. Just because you know this exam in FUTMINNA is going to be electronic exam. So you need to be very, very fast. All right. So when you have x squared, just bring down the 2 and then in your head, quickly minus 1 from this 2. You know it will be 1. And you know anything that carries 1 remains so. So the answer is 2x. For 3, for s cube, just bring down the 3. So the 3 will become 3x. Then in your head, minus 1 from the 3. Immediately you get 2. And that's your answer for this. You see? For this one, just bring down the 4. That will be 4x. From your head, subtract 1 from 4. You are going to have 3. Then that's the answer for this. Right? And then for the final one, this one is different from the first 3 exercise, as I've said. This one is 7x raised power 4. You will notice that if you check this side, no number is here. There's no coefficient. So these 3 questions are under the same category. These 3, they fall under the same category. Why this one is different? Because this one is having a coefficient from the beginning, from the question. So very simple. Just make sure you keep the 7 the way it is. Then interpret this s raised power 4. Just deal with this s raised power 4 separately. That will now be multiplied by the 4 will come down. Then you are going to, from your head, minus 1 from 4. You are going to get cube. Then, this 4 that is now jamming with 7, let them multiply themselves. 7 times 4 is what? 28. Then you have 28x cubed. So whenever you have a coefficient, the coefficient will not be involved in what you are doing. Leave it for a while, express the polynomial you have, then multiply the 2 coefficients you have at the end of the day. Then you have your bigger value. And that's how to differentiate. There are other questions that can come under first principle that is not this. It is step by step. The exercise 1 to 3 was somehow simpler. Then exercise 4 is somehow complex. Now, there are other things, there are other questions we are still going to learn using the first principle, but it's not going to be covered in this class. So make sure you are consistent in this video so that you can check the playlist. I'm going to be uploading them in playlists, so you can know the next class to watch after this class. Hope you have gained something valuable. Yes, once again, I'm Philips and I'm working for you graduates. Thank you.